Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Mucking Fun Day on the technically first week of 2025. It's still 2024 because it's December, but the new week of the year is starting this week. So, welcome. We've got Raj here on the road in Nebraska, coming straight out of his 12-person van, I think is what he keeps calling. He's van lifing right now.
Chevy van.
Yep, he's using that great.
I'm living in a van.
He's using that
down
great
by the river.
cafe Wi-Fi in order to talk to us today. This is Before Coffee, the comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look up the news 10 to 50 minutes before we started, and we haven't had any caffeine. So let's read out what happened over the weekend, which a lot of it is pretty terrible. Today on Before Coffee, investigation begins to find out the cause of the deadly plane crash in South Korea.
President Jimmy Carter.
Georgia's new president is sworn in, and amid political showdown.
We have a bunch of tornadoes to report on across the United States. Almost said the Midwest.
And let's scream at the screen, stupid, the TV letdowns of the year.
Bacon Day, that's right. What day isn't Bacon Day? December 30th, 2020. Before your second call.
We could do this in Europe because we were using a camera and we didn't need Wi-Fi. If you could just record your stories and send them over, that would take probably all day for you to send them over. But either way, we're here, we're doing it, and we're covering the news. Even if we are half of us is driving cross country. Let's start with the sad news, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard about. I know I've heard about it all weekend, which is the Jeju Air crash. Another Boeing aircraft under intensive safety probe, as it has caused a lot of fatalities. This is by Lee Hae-rin on the Korea Times. Aviation authorities launched an investigation today into the deadly crash of the Jeju airplane, which claimed 179 lives on the previous day, focusing on both the carrier and the aircraft model. The investigation comes after rescue authorities recovered the bodies of all the victims from the accident site at Muan International Airport in Muan, South Jeolla Province the previous night. Of the 181 people aboard the flight from Bangkok to Muan, only 2 survived. The Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport said it will conduct special inspections on all B737-800 aircraft operated by Korean carriers. The decision follows the discovery that the plane's landing gear malfunctioned, presumably due to a bird strike, along with suspicion of potential engine problems. The possibility of technical issues intensified after another plane of the same model, operated by the same carrier, experienced a landing gear issue on Monday morning and returned to its departure point. They're like, ground all of these. All the Boeing 737-800s, ground all of them. We time to buy new planes. Korean carriers operate 101 planes of this model, and we are planning to conduct special inspections on them. Ju Dong-won, head of the ministry's aviation policy, said in a media briefing at the government complex Showdown. We'll examine their utilization rates and check if carriers are following various relevant regulations such as checkup and maintenance before and after operation. The model is operated by low-cost carriers. Jeju Air has 39 B737-800 planes, followed by Twi Air with 27, Jin Air with 19, East Star Air Jet with 10, and Air Incheon with 4, as well as Korean Air with 2. The ministry said it was also conducting a safety inspection of Jeju Air to ensure the airline has complied with regulations. It is backed by data that Jeju Air has a higher utilization rate of aircraft than others, Ju said. An intensive safety inspection will be carried out. The flight data recorder FDR and the cockpit voice recorder CVR were retrieved from the scene of the crash, and the ministry plans to transfer them to an analysis center in Seoul. The ministry noted that the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, and Boeing, the manufacturer of the aircraft, will participate in the investigation, while CFMI, which made the CFM56-7B26 engine, is in talks to take part. So Boeing is being, but not just them, but the engine manufacturer as well, is being investigated. Meanwhile, the ministry explained that the concrete wall facility near the runway, which has been pointed out as a factor that increased the damage when the plane collided with it, is also installed at other domestic airports. Mon Airport has a localizer installed about 251 meters away from the end of the runway, Ju said. Yeah, I have to agree with this. I think it's not smart to keep a large concrete building at the end of a runway. I think it would be better off if the plane hit the grass or some trees than if it hit a giant concrete building. So yeah, I'm gonna have to agree that did increase the fatalities on the plane. The structures decided to guide aircraft during their landing to the runway. The structure typically has concrete foundations with antennas standing atop earthen hills. In response to claims that the structure at Muan Airport violated regulation regarding the materials used to build it, the ministry plans to review the facility's installation regulations and assess their connection to the accident. Regarding the accident, Korea's acting president Cho Sang-mok ordered an emergency safety inspection of the country's entire airline operation system. The government is doing its utmost to establish cooperation between related agencies, Choi said during a meeting at the Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasures headquarters at the government complex in Seoul. He asked the ministry and the National Police Agency to conduct a strict investigation into the cause of the accident. Even before the final results are out, we asked the officials to transparently disclose the accident investigation process and promptly inform the bereaved families, he said. As soon as the accident recovery is finished, the Transport Ministry will conduct an emergency safety inspection of the entire aircraft operation system to prevent further recurrences of airplane accidents, he said. Meanwhile, the rescue authorities identified more than 140 of the 179 victims over an overnight investigation. 11 of the 179 victims were elementary, middle school, and high school students, according to the Ministry of Education. The bereaved families formed a coalition to respond to the disaster and recovery efforts, similar to the family groups organized after the 2015 Seoul ferry sinking, which killed more than 300 people, and the 2022 Etowah disaster, which claimed 159 lives. That, of course, was a crowd crush scenario after, I think, Halloween. I think it was after Halloween. A bunch of, clubs opened their doors, but because of COVID, I think they were overfilled with people. And then when all those people left the clubs to go into the street, people were just crushed to death in the Etowah disaster. The group announced the suspension of all funeral procedures until both recovery and identification of the bodies was completed. Memorial altars have been set up at dozens of locations across the country to mourn the victims. The government has designated a national mourning period through Saturday midnight. So, hopefully some of these terrible losses can be bared through, and I don't know. It's just awful. It's just terrible, There's nothing else to say, but at least the investigation into these airport crash will reveal some structural and problems, and hopefully save other people from ever having to experience a similar accident.
It's down.
Yeah. All right. That's my story.
Possibly not even mechanical failure, but
yeah.
Anywho. All right, so that's sad news, and we got nothing but sad news today, apparently. How are we doing? Our connection's still good?
I see ya. I'll scream at you, I guess.
Well, other than that, is it good?
It's fine. It's usable. Just continue your story.
So let's go. All right, so we're gonna do a strange eulogy. It's gonna be Robbie Robertson eulogizing Jimmy Carter, which is really strange because Robbie Robertson died last year. So
he made his eulogy early.
But he was going through Yeah, he didn't know he was gonna not be. He didn't know Carter would outlive him. But here we go. This is from Rolling Stone, transcribed. Rolling Stone magazine, transcribed by David Brown of Rolling Stone magazine. And it's gonna go. We're gonna read it. Got my reading glasses on. Sorry about that.
You don't have to yell.
My eyes are old. Okay. Okay. Jimmy Carter was a typical Southern guy who grew up loving music. Let me get my camera so I'm not too much of my fingers. All right. Jimmy Carter was a typical Southern guy who grew up loving music. He was as true as he could be as part of the world. The band co-founder told Stone in 2023. One of the signs. Bob Dylan fan, the then governor of Georgia, was in the audience for Atlanta's Omni Coliseum to see Dylan and the band on their historic tour. Afterward, the musicians, promoter Bill Graham, and a few local music biz associates were driven. Governor's man. In the years that followed both run and subsequent presidency, Carter confirmed his music bona fides by hanging out with Willie Nelson, Aretha Franklin, and my thing just scrolled on its own.
Bona fides? Do you mean?
Willie Nelson, Aretha Franklin.
You say bona fides?
By hanging out with Wilson, Aretha Franklin, Allman Brothers Band, the Atlanta Rhythm, and many more, an all-star jazz festival on the grounds of the White House. In a previously unpublished interview conducted in February 2023, the band's Robbie Robertson, who died in August of 23, recalled that night nearly 50 years ago when he and his comrades, unusual politicians they'd ever met. Carter died on Sunday, December 29th, at the age of 100. We all should be so lucky.
Wow.
This is all from Robbie Robertson. Everything forward is from Robbie Robertson. When we played Atlanta, we saw Phil Walden, who had managed Otis Redding and had started this company, Capricorn Records. A very cool in my street savvy awareness. He said, after the concert, can you guys come to the governor's mansion? We'll have a nightcap and you can say hello and have a little bite to eat. 1974 tour, there was something in the air about American politics that was not very inviting for a Canadian. People like you can keep an eye on it. He, all the dirty tricks he can. Sounds familiar. Anyway, we go to the mansion and I meet this governor. I talked to him a few minutes and I get a read on this guy that he doesn't have a bad bone in his body. This is a good person. I can feel it. I can sense it. I felt so within 30 seconds of being around him. That's being around, making jokes and carrying on. And while I'm talking to him, I see the late drummer and renowned partier Buddy Miles in the background coming out of the bathroom. Buddy Miles, of course, was the drummer for Jimi Hendrix when he quit the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Basically Jimi Hendrix's best friend. Jimmy had his back. Jimmy Carter, not Jimi Hendrix. Jimmy had back to him, so he doesn't see this, but I do. Hello, Governor's Mansion. This is way hipper than any mansion I've been to before. They had all going on that night. They had food, which was grits, scrambled eggs, and country ham. Coming and going, which was also very Southern. Bob and Jimmy had a little chat, Bob Dylan, of course. I think he talked about Bob making a difference in his songwriting. It was a crowd of people you would never dream. In a million years, we'll be up in the middle of the night at the governor's mansion, just having a good laugh and appreciation of work. I thought, wow, the Carters just go with it. It's late and everybody's enjoying everybody's company. This is so beautiful. These people are okay. Consequently, I left there with a great impression of this guy. Jimmy didn't try to be hip. That night, he just said, you know, sometimes you put on a record and it comes right through to you. It gets you and you feel it and you carry that around with you. And sometimes you put it on a record, nothing happens. And when I put it on a record, it was a good feeling. That meant everything to me. The band's music from Big Pink and the band would subsequently be included in the White House record library, updated during Carter's time in office. Coming from Canada, one of the things I noticed in the Mississippi Delta, where the music grew up out of the ground, is that when we played down south, there would be people of every age group. There'd be old people, there'd be young people, and everybody dancing. That was unheard of up north. But Jimmy Carter was a typical Southern guy who grew up loving music, and he was true he could be a part of the world, part of that world. Later, Lorne Michaels of Saturday Night Live asked us to play on Saturday Night Live. He had asked us a few times before. This was going to be the show right before the 76 presidential election. I said, I like this guy, Jimmy Carter. Let's do the show, Lorne said. You can do 4 songs. And I said, I want to do Georgia on my mind in hopes that Jimmy Carter becomes the president of the country. And we did. I sent Jimmy a note saying we were going to do that, and I got a sweet note back. Unfortunately, when he became president, it became quite clear that he wasn't very good at playing the game. The game was sucking up to this one, or playing the game with that one, or letting someone get away with some shit. Jimmy Carter didn't have that sensibility. He was too true to that. And in many ways, that didn't turn out great for him. Things that happened while he was president, nobody could have seen coming or fixed. It was sad to see that it came down to him and turned on him. He didn't know how to play the game, and it came back to haunt him. But he was a better man for it. As for his legacy, sometimes good overrules bad. You'd like to think there's a possibility somewhere, sometime, that somebody could do their job and not be a complete jive ass. Richard Nixon was so jive. Ronald Reagan was so jive. I didn't believe a word he said.
Yeah, for sure.
He was a bad actor. Jimmy Carter wasn't an actor. He didn't want to be. He was so kind that you thought, oh, this can't be real. But it was real. He was actually a real, kind, wonderful human being. In politics, they don't make enough of these. There you go. There's your Robbie Robertson obituary that died after he did.
Rest in peace to the probably only man in the world who could be called himself a good person. Genuinely a good person.
Right.
Yep. All right. From that, let's talk about some political results.
We're up there talking about Jesus right now.
Yeah, he's hanging out with Jesus. Maybe he was Jesus this whole time.
No, it's true.
Okay. Let's go from one political, well, it's not really political at all. President dying isn't that political. To Georgia, which has been protesting its new president for, I think, months now, especially since they're trying to pull out of the EU and become a Russian puppet state. And, that new president has been...
Moscow Light.
Yeah, the Moscow Light. That new president has been inaugurated, even as the outgoing president is saying everything is a sham. This is on Eurosativ, with the help of AFP and Reuters. Georgia inaugurated ruling party loyalist Mikhail Kavalishvili as president on the 29th of December, amid a political showdown, shortly after Tbilisi's outgoing pro-EU leader declared herself the only legitimate president. Salom Zoroplishvili said in a speech outside the presidential palace, "I remain the only legitimate president. I will leave the presidential palace and stand with you, carrying with me the legitimacy, the flag, and your trust," she added before mingling with thousands of gathered supporters. For the first time in Georgian history, Kavalishvili was sworn in at a closed-door ceremony in Parliament. In a break from protocol, foreign ambassadors who were reported to be planning to boycott the event were not even allowed to go. Our history clearly shows that after countless struggles to defend our homeland and traditions, peace has always been one of the main goals and values for the Georgian people, Kavalishvili said after taking the oath. Kavalishvili, known for his far-right views and derogatory comments about LGBTQ people, went on to praise our traditions, values, national identity, and the sanctity of the family and faith. The inauguration of a former footballer and hardline critic of the West is set to escalate further as months-long political crisis that has seen the government freeze EU membership talks, followed by huge pro-EU demonstrations. Zoroplishvili argues that Kavalishvili was chosen by lawmakers who were elected in October election marked by fraud. Meanwhile, the ruling Georgian Dream Party maintained that Kavalishvili is the duly elected president. Yeah, I mean, they would. That's he's their party leader. The party also has presented itself as the sole guarantor of peace in the country, accusing the West of trying to drag Tbilisi into the Ukraine conflict. No, you're dragging yourself into it because Russia is right there. Like, you think they're gonna stop at Ukraine? On drugs, seriously. Like, these people are on drugs. Calls for election rerun. The presidential standoff is a watershed moment in Georgia, a mountainous country of 3.7 million, recently regarded as among the most democratic and pro-Western of the former Soviet states. Zurablishvili has become a last hope for pro-EU protesters who accuse Georgian Dream of steering Tbilisi away from the West and back towards Moscow. She's backed by the country's four main pro-EU opposition parties, which have boycotted parliament since the election. They say she will remain legitimate president until the fresh elections are held. On Sunday, which was the 29th of December, she repeated that rerun of the illegitimate election would be the formula to resolve such a crisis. However, Prime Minister Igatli Kobadzidze said that the new elections will not be called. Kobadzidze's announcement on the 20th of November that Tbilisi would not seek the opening of EU accession talks until 2028 triggered daily mass protests, which are still ongoing. Mirroring language reminiscent of that used by the Kremlin about its political opponents, Kobadzidze has described protesters as violent groups controlled by liberal fascist opposition. In the first 10 days of protests, riot police used tear gas and water cannons to disperse demonstrators, some of whom threw fireworks and stones. More than 400 people have been arrested during the protests, with many saying they have been beaten. The reported police brutality has drawn growing international condemnation, with Washington and several European countries imposing visa bans on Georgian Dream officials. On Friday, which was, what was Friday? 27th of December, the United States imposed sanctions on Georgia Dream's founder, Bidzina Ivalishvili, saying he undermined the country's democratic future for Russian benefit. Oligarch Ivanishvili, Georgia's richest man, is widely regarded as the country's de facto leader despite holding no official position. And these guys wanted to join the EU, and they have an oligarch in charge, pulling the strings. Ugh, what a terrible situation. I feel for all the people in Georgia who did want, join the European Union and get all of those benefits that come with becoming an active member of the EU. And hopefully this can get solved in a peaceful way, but it feels like it's not going to, and it's heading towards a more violent, maybe heading towards a more violent place. But there's your news coming out of Georgia. On to your story. And the sun's
okay. It's gonna be a short one this time. The sun's coming up. Yeah. It's 7:55 out here. Prairie. Sun comes up kind of late here in the winter. All right. At least 2 people were killed. This is from theguardian.com. At least 2 people were killed and 6 more injured as several tornadoes touched down in Texas and Mississippi on Saturday, damaging homes and flipping vehicles as a storm moved across Alabama early on Sunday. I was driving nowhere near this stuff, thankfully, but I did get plenty of rain and terrible visibility and very
scary.
spots.
Yeah.
Vans don't have the best traction in the world, so it's kind of long, and the back end is kind of when you're going on curves. The U.S. National Weather Service severe storm tracker indicated the system was moving east through Alabama and Georgia shortly before 4 a.m. The agency issued several thunderstorm warnings with the possibility of tornadoes in western Georgia and northwestern tip of Florida, directly above the Gulf of Mexico. Yep, God doesn't like you, man. He just keeps throwing tornadoes at you. 1 person died in the Liverpool area. That's not in London, located south of Houston, which is in Texas. And 4 people suffered injuries that were not considered critical, according to the Madison Polston of the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office. There were multiple touchdown points in the county between Liverpool, Hillcrest Village, and Alvin. Officials knew about 10 damaged homes but were working to determine the extent of damage, Polston said. In Mississippi, one person died in Adams County and 2 people were injured in Franklin County, according to the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency. The National Weather Service said that 2 tornadoes hit the Butte in the city of Brandon, ripping roofs off several buildings.
Wow.
These storms are probably going to get a lot worse this evening and overnight. The furthest east you go, says Josh Lichter, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service. It appeared at least 6 tornadoes touched down in the Houston area, although officials may discover there were more when crews go out of the surveyed damage. There were damage in the area from both tornadoes and straight line winds. Of course, Texas infamously has a lot of tornadoes, but most people don't have a cellar. They don't have a storm cellar. I have no idea why. They get tornadoes all the time.
Probably
North of
costed
Houston,
an extra amount of money to build a storm
it's
cellar.
the same thing with snowplows. Right. Texas has no snowplows, by the way. They get snow every year. No snowplows. Anyway, the storms also caused departure delays for over an hour. Oh, let's go back one more paragraph. North of Houston, mobile homes were damaged or destroyed in Katy and Porter Heights, where the doors of the fire station were blown in, the Weather Service said. The storms always caused departure delays for over an hour. The storms also caused departure delays for over an hour on Saturday afternoon at Houston's 2 main airports, Bush Intercontinental and Hobby, according to the 51,000 utility customers are in Mississippi on Saturday. The number is expected to rise, said Mallory White, Chief Communications Officer of State. Of course, Mississippi busy giving away, so they can't cope with emergencies. Just how ignorant these southern states are with their money. They built a new volleyball court for Brett Favre's daughter. Well, they got that going for them. At 3:30 a.m. on Sunday, nearly 81,000 customers were without power in the state, down from 93,000 at about 1 a.m. So good for those people who got their power. According to the electric utility tracking website, the Emergency Management Agency did not have official damage reports on Saturday. First responders were forced on ensuring safety and making sure everyone was accounted for, White said. We do anticipate more thorough damage assessments starting in the early morning hours. The National Weather Service office in Birmingham, Alabama, issued overnight severe thunderstorm warnings for several areas in southern part of the state, advising residents to seek shelter to avoid possible damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. But those had probably already passed through by now because it's Monday. But I think I'm heading for some severe weather in the Pacific Northwest. So we'll find out when we get there, I guess, huh? Because I crossed me a couple of mountain passes.
Well, hopefully you stay safe on the road there, because yeah.
I am. Ever played a game Oregon Trail? I am in the actual Oregon. This is, it's the truth. You can actually get off the freeway and you can go find the ancient ruts from the 1800s that these wagons made. And a lot of them didn't make it. And they ended up in towns like this one. It's like, wagon broke down here. Let's stay.
Yeah,
that's right. We have to eat the horses and the oxen, so we may as well stay here. But there's your mood. There's news from the United States and weather. Back to you.
All right. Amlin I saw your message there. According to Amlin in chat, storm shelters can go up to like 3K. So I guess that's another reason why people don't have them. Because you gotta pay for them. Why they aren't just instantly installed as like a regulation, like you must have one of these in a place where there's tornadoes. Yeah, well, we know how America is with regulations. They don't like them. Yeah. Don't tell me what to do. If I want to die from a tornado, let me.
We're Texans, by golly. Don't tell us we gotta have snow plows, you damn liberals. We want to drive in the fucking snowdrift.
Knocked his phone over. All right, there's our story for that. Let's go on to our culture segment here, which is about... What was it about? The stupidest TV shows this year. I think probably British TV shows. I don't know if this is all the TV shows, but at least on The Guardian, this is what they considered the scream at the screen stupid shows letdowns of the year. This is by Kate Abbott, Alexi Druggins, Stuart Heritage, and Holly Richardson. From the silliest concept ever to killer thrillers so done Villanelle would roll her eyes. There have been plenty of television duds in 2024. Here are the biggest turkeys. A very royal scandal. Yes, the Prince Andrew Emily Matildas head-to-head was the TV moment of 2019. It is unlikely that any television interview will ever be as jaw-dropping again. But why did we need just one but two screen recreations of it this year? This one came with Matildas' blessing, but sadly already existed in the shadow of the Netflix scoop. Despite excellent turns by Michael Sheen and Ruth Wilson, it never felt anything other than a slight and superfluous. Meet the Rees-Moggs. Oh god, not the Hey, why did this... Ugh. Okay, Rees-Mogg is like a lord, like in the House of Lords, and he's famous for being just awful. And for some reason they gave him a reality show. Just the fact that this series exists at all is a letdown. To recap, faced with a historic election wipeout and the likelihood of losing his seat, Jacob Rees-Mogg made the slightly craven choice to invite a reality TV crew into his home to help transition himself and his family into a full-blown media personalities. It didn't work. The show came and went without any buzz whatsoever. And nobody cares about you in your life. The Bear. Oh, really? The Bear was a disappointment this year. So tense, touching, funny, and idiosyncratic were the first two seasons of Carmy and Co.'s Kitchen Nightmare, that each one was hands down the best TV of the year. And then came this directionless, subpar third season. It might not have been quite as bad as some of its harsher critics suggested, although no one needed to extend Fox Clan's clumsy comic relief, but its irksome cliffhanger ending felt like a daringly attention-grabbing move from a show that previously oozed class. And when the earlier outings had been so brilliant, how could we fail to feel so short-changed? Bad Sisters. Living up to the standard set by Sharon Horgan's blackly hilarious first season was always going to be tough going, given that it was a faithful adaptation of an excellent Flemish drama, Plan, which had no second series. Sadly, it proved a stretch too far, with this follow-up never matching the zip of its initial outing due to the convoluted plotting and a darker turn that robbed this one's thrilling sisterhood of its sparkle. Some things are best left alone. Yeah, some things should only be one season. Ludwig. Sure, this was the most watched new scripted series on the BBC in 2024, but that reeks of a subpar year for quality, where The Guardian is huge fans of both David Mitchell and Anna Maxwell Martin, but this was one of the silliest concepts ever seen on screen. Any detective worth their salt would have clocked that Mitchell's awkward, agoraphobic puzzle setter was not the same man as his disappeared hotshot detective brother in 5 seconds max. We know that was the bit, and we know that overall it was just a piece of watchable cozy crime, but it did not make it feel fatally lame and ludicrous from the start to finish. The BBC should do better. Sure would. There's no denying that this season of James Graham's Nottingham-based crime drama featured its fair share of clangers. Why on earth would Scott Rowley give up the location of his money, and surely Daphne Sparrow, who has spent decades running a nihilistic crime syndicate, wouldn't suddenly be so bothered by the Bottomley's potential death that she'd risk bringing gang vengeance on her entire family? Will she cease to be her raison d'etre? Yes, Lorraine Ashbourne's performance as Daphne was breathtaking, and there were numerous moments that left your jaw hanging open. But at times, this show's plotting felt scream at the screen stupid. The Tattooist of Auschwitz. Adapting the best-selling novel is always a risk. It's always going to be particularly difficult to get it right with a romance story set in Auschwitz. Yeah, you heard that right. One that has been criticized by the Auschwitz Memorial Research Center. Ooh, that's not good. When the museum is like, no, this show is bad. You know it's bad. That said, there's no denying that a lot of care went into producing the dramas starring Jonah Hauer-King and Anna Procheniak as Lali and Gita, whom fall in love when they meet at the concentration camp. But as we saw their longing stares amid the unraveling horrors, it just didn't work as entertainment. How could it? The Sympathizer. This one stung. Since the moment it was announced, The Sympathizer had all the markings of incredible television. A Park Chan-wook directed adaptation of the Viet Thanh Nguyen's Pulitzer-winning novel, starring Robert Downey Jr.? What could possibly go wrong? Plenty, as it turns out. The book was too dense to easily adapt for television. The stylish trickery that Park employs so well in film came off as gimmicky and indulgent on television, and Downey Jr.'s multiple roles were all equally one-dimensional and insufferable. Anyone who watched all the way to the final episode deserves a medal for endurance. Oh, that's a terrible critique. Uh-oh. Ella Purnell is the hottest actor of the moment in Sweet Pea, thanks to Yellow Jackets and Fallout. So when it was announced that she'd be playing a Killing Eve-style serial killer in adaptation of a hit young adult book talk series Sweet Pea, an instant hit was promised. But what a waste. Rhiannon, Sweet Pea, was just a plain boring from start to end. It wasn't Purnell's fault, though. She didn't have much to work with. Not even Nicole Leckie and John Pointing in the supporting cast could bring to life what should have been a thrilling, gleeful killing spree. Villanelle would have given a disgusted eye roll at such a dull comparison. Yeah, kill more interestingly. House of the Dragon. Given how little actually happened this season, it's hard not to feel that they've could have condensed it into about 3 episodes and saved an hours of plotting, event-free viewing. There is no denying that a potentially explosive showdown has been set up for Series 3, but it would have been nice if they hadn't decided to make viewers wait an extra couple of years for the action. Yeah, it's terrible when you have to wait forever for a show to come out, and then it's like, nothing freaking happened in this. What the hell? Alright, two more disappointments of the year. Daddy issues. David Morrissey as a newfound divorcee and internal man-baying, being trained up by his pregnant daughter to help around the house and not befriend toxic men. It sounds like stuff of a timely comedy. In fact, Daddy Issues did not make us laugh once. It had a cracking cast from Morrissey as the hapless Malcolm and Amy Lou Wood as his daughter Gemma, to Strictly Sarah Hadley as a horny hairdresser, but it didn't nail the tone. If it had been billed as a drama, we would have been much more on board with it than a comedy. Yeah, okay, I see. And finally, The Perfect Couple. Given that Suzanne Bier was at the helm, The Guardian had high hopes that this would be a borderline classy affair. How wrong they were. It was so bad that even the entire cast kicked off about being forced to do that terrible dance routine on the beach for, let's face it, the most incongruous opening credit sequence ever. Still, it had some spot-on class satire. Vodka in the green juice, anyone? There we go. There's The Guardian's opinion of the worst, the stupidly scream at the screen stupid TV that happened this year. And I guess the idea is, you know what? Just skip it. Skip the 3rd season of The Bear. Don't watch the 2nd season of The House of Dragon. A lot of 2nd seasons were just not good. Don't even bother. Is what it sounds like.
They cancel shows that people are watching. Right?
Yeah. They cancel shows that are
like
evocative and make you think.
Like the old man with Jeff Bridges and what's his name? I forget the other guy's name. Guy.
The other guy.
John Lithgow and Jeff Bridges got canceled. I'm like, okay, you don't want me to watch your stupid paper. Anyway, on to this day in history. This day in history, yay! And I sent you a video, by the way. Hope
yes.
You got it. On this day, what happened? On this day in 1803, the Maratha chief Dulat Rao Sindhya and the British signed the Treaty of Sergi Arjungadgon during the Maratha Wars in India. There you go. That was a treaty probably just gave all of India to England for that period of time.
Wow.
Talking not good. I won't mention the place. I don't want them to lose business, but thank you for the Wi-Fi. Your coffee tastes like you didn't rinse the soap out of the container, so I've got basically the aftertaste of dish soap. So, thanks for the Wi-Fi. I won't mention it. Maybe you just hired somebody new that doesn't know how to rinse things, but it's really awful.
At least they're cleaning their machine, I guess. There's people who don't.
Rinse it next time.
Yeah.
If you rinse it, you're gonna lose today because people are gonna come here and drink dishwater. The reformist, in 1847 in this day, the reformist Illinois Governor John Peter Artgeld, known principally for his pardon of the German-American anarchists involved in the Haymarket Affair, was born in Niederselters, Prussia. So happy birthday to that guy. Born in 1847. 1853, the Gadsden Purchase. You know what a Gadsden Purchase is? We used to live in it. That's right.
Wow.
The United States acquired nearly 30,000 square miles of additional northern Mexico territory with the signing of the Gadsden Purchase, which included Las Cruces, New Mexico, and Santa Teresa, where we used to live. And
where I was
also,
born.
There's a lot of people in that part of the world that still consider themselves part of Mexico.
Yep.
Actually, a group of people, I forget what they're called. We're not really in the United States. We're still in Mexico. That Gadsden Purchase was
Illegal. It is.
Anyway, so
it was bullying. It's global bullying.
In 1853, the United States strong-armed Mexico and giving up another 30,000 square miles. So that was 1853, long before I was born.
Yeah.
All those people became citizens of the United States. And when you say, you're here illegally, you're like, you drew the border illegally. How about that?
And then in World War II, they were all deported. They were sent off to Mexico. Oh, terrible.
And again, we can give Texas back to New Mexico, nobody would miss it.
Yeah.
It's basically dragging us
People
down
don't even know New Mexico is part of America. That's the sad part. When I moved to Maryland,
yeah, well,
I was like, I come from New Mexico. They're like, oh, you came from Mexico? No, I came from New Mexico. It's a state. Did you pass your kindergarten class?
Ask the average American to name 10 states. Just 10.
Good luck.
You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. Nope, nobody teaches anything anymore in school. Only thing that happens in school is you teach a test and you graduate and you get out in the world and you don't know how to do anything. Yay, United States, we're the best. That's all they teach you in school. We're the best. That's it. We're the best. That's it. Pledge of Allegiance now. Yeah, United States failing miserably, as I say just about every day. We're failing miserably, and it's just going to accelerate now. It's just going to get worse. 1896, Philippine nationalist Jose Rizal was publicly executed, enraging and uniting Filipinos. That was a really shitty thing to do. In 1902, a new southing record was set by Robert Falcon Scott in company with Ernest Henry Shackleton and E.A. Wilson as they reached the Ross Ice Shelf at the head of the Ross Sea in Antarctica. So it didn't quite reach it. 1916, Gory Rasputin was murdered by... Rasputin finally bit the dust to death, poisoned and then drowned in the Siberian mystic in an effort to halt his influence over Empress Alexandra and the royal family. Of course, the royal family didn't have much time left themselves.
No, so they didn't. Yeah.
It didn't matter if they murdered him. The royal family had literally minutes left.
They were next, basically.
Rasputin was killed. In 1918, that's right, everybody, Alexandra, Anastasia, all of you, you're gone. 1918, the Spartacus League was transformed into the Communist Party of Germany at a party congress. Yeah, they went from worshiping Spartacus to being, hey, we love that Vladimir Lenin guy. And 1975 is the birthday of Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods turning up bright and old. My Lord, Tiger Woods is 49 today. Where did the time go? Yes, American golfer Tiger Woods, the first player to win consecutively against 4 major tournaments. The first player to win the game's 4 major tournaments consecutively was born. They call it Tiger Slam. He won all of them. The U.S. the British Open, the greatest golfer ever to play golf. And he's a black guy. And you would have thought, well, he's Kabbalah Asian, as he calls himself, because his mom is Thai.
Yeah.
But his dad is black, and he dominated golf. You would think there would be a huge African American surge. It hasn't happened. Not at the highest level. There's still very few. Plenty of Asian golfers. I mean, the Asians are taking over golf, specifically the women's tour, but not African Americans. Speaking of African Americans, birthdays and professional athletes' birthdays. It's LeBron James' birthday. LeBron James turns 40 today.
Happy
He's still
birthday,
playing.
LeBron!
He's playing with his son. LeBron and Bronny are in the same team. Of course, Bronny is only on the team because Dad's there, not because he's qualified to be in the NBA. He still needs some seasoning. He needs to play in the G League, but unfortunately, the politics of the NBA wins out before teamwork. And some deserving player, some guy who's worked hard his entire career to get in the NBA, is sitting on the bench doing nothing or out of work because Bronny James's kid has got a job where he's not learning anything because he doesn't play enough to actually hone any skills. So they're not doing him any service at all. He's like the team mascot for now, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that's my little diatribe and why teams kowtow. Probably because LeBron James has more money than people in the NBA,
maybe. And
he can influence. But he's 40 today. Happy birthday, Tiger Woods. Happy birthday, LeBron James. 1986. Government announced that electronic sensors replace canaries as the early warning detectors of carbon monoxide in coal mines.
Save the canaries! Right. Save them! They were getting killed for no reason.
That's right. Save the songbirds. And also on this day, 2006, Saddam Hussein, who was a scumbag, but again, he was on our side up until he wasn't. Well, today he was executed in 2006. He was executed for being convicted of crimes against humanity. See,
was supposed to be a Christmas gift or something to execute him on the 30th of December.
I don't know.
Very
interesting. Either way, the Iraqi provisional government executed him. It wasn't us. It was like the puppets we put in place, right? Executed him, and of course he had it coming. He was a shitty guy, and no tears.
He was a dictator.
2014 German war. Yeah, he was a piece of shit. He gassed his own people during the Iran war. He gassed the Kurds, and the United States looked the other way because hey, he's not our friend, but he's the enemy of our enemy. So we're going to be in his side for now. Because we were fighting Iran. Iran took hostages. You Iranians, and we don't care. Kill each other. We were all for that. Now, like, he's taking our shit. He's taking our oil.
We did that.
Anyway, that's what it called. 1991. Saddam Hussein's gonna take oil in the world. We gotta act now. Taking Kuwait, which he considered to be southern Iraq. So, and all of the Arab world except the Kuwaiti billionaires considered it southern Iraq. Anyway, 2014 on this day, German-born actress Louise Rayner died at the age of 104. She was the first person to receive 2 Academy Awards for acting. Yes, sir, that was her day. On this day in 1922, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics was established. So happy birthday to USSR. It was formed on this day in 1922. It's 102 years old. Well, if it was still around, it would be. With its capital in Moscow, eventually incorporated 15 republics and constituted an area the largest country in the world until its dissolution in 1991, which is the same year that Saddam Hussein made his land grab. What a coincidence. And our featured biography today, Rudyard Kipling, the guy who wrote the Jungle Book, among other books. Born in December 30th, 1865, died in January 18th. 1936 at the age of 70. He was born in India, in Mumbai, which was at that time called Bombay, and he died in London in 1936. Other birthdays today, Davy Jones of the Monkees,
I thought Davy Jones the pirate. I was like, I thought that guy was fake. I didn't know he was real. Bless you.
He's not the guy with the locker. Davy Jones's locker. That's where all the pirates go when they died. Locker. The British from the Monkees, the guy who played piano and say Daydream Believer, that guy. Davy Jones, birthday 1945. He would be 80, well, not quite 80, 79. Patti Smith, poet, songwriter, and singer, and Beth 6. So she's turning, I didn't even realize she was 78 years old. So Patti Smith, happy birthday. We already covered your Woods, LeBron James. And what day is it now? Which is every day, if you ask me. Bacon, but I'm just jonesing for some bacon now.
Jonesing.
It's Falling Needles Family Fest.
What the hell is
so
that?
I'm guessing what's that?
Is that like when you take your Christmas tree out and all the needles fall on the ground?
Falling Needles Family Fest Day. So I guess it's the day to throw out your tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bicarbonate of soda day. You know what bicarbonate of soda is? It's
very important for baking.
Alka-Seltzer. Yeah. Oh man, she's a tough one. Where's the mute button on this bitch? Okay. I'm gonna turn on the mute button. Mute button. There we go. Mute button on the old laptop. You hear any of that? That's it. National Bicarbonate Soda, and that's all. That's all the news we got out here in this main street of Seward, Nebraska, for December 30th, 2024, the penultimate day of the year. On Before Bacon.
Ooh, all right. This has been Allison here from the Netherlands, Raj from Nebraska. We are no more international days. Welcome to the first week of 2025. I know it's not 2025 yet, but it is technically the first week of 2025. So hopefully we can have some good things happening, considering the circumstances that this year is going to be in, with everyone turning into far right and all that. But we'll see. It's the first Monday. We've got 51 more Mondays, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, this has been Before Coffee. We will see you tomorrow for Good Tuesday News Day. You'll probably be there by then, or you think? Or no?
Oh, I better be.
Yeah, okay. So he should be somewhere in Oregon by, you should reach
tomorrow?
The end of... Tomorrow, no?
No, hell no, I ain't be here tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll probably be in Utah somewhere.
Okay, so we'll see you again for Good Tuesday News Day from Utah. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the Ali and Raj channel. So for more episodes of Before Coffee, your comprehensive news of planet Earth.
The weather will have the final up.
Yeah, exactly.
The weather will have a lot to do with
it. So take care out there. Comment down below. I don't know what you would do. What you thought was the worst TV on the TV this year? If you agree with that Guardian list of the worst TV seasons, was the House of Dragons that bad? I didn't even watch the first one. I already know the story, so I guess I didn't even care about watching it. But take care out there. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye. Here is our Jimmy Carter mic drop moment.
Literally drop the needle on the record too, right?
All right. Sounds familiar. One of the things that have held America together has been the music that we share and love.
Jimmy Carter used music in a way that helped
Jimmy
him.
Carter is amazing.
Jimmy Carter's a rock.
It had never been done quite that way.
I'd like to dedicate this song to Jimmy Carter.
I want to introduce to you the great Allman Brothers.
He was cool, he enjoyed our music, and he became a friend.
He was like a normal guy or something. That's crazy.
Quote my songs back to me.
Bob Dylan has been one of my best friends, along with Willie Nelson. When Willie Nelson wrote his autobiography, he confessed that he smoked pot in the White House. And he says that his companion was one of the servants at the White House. Actually, was one of my sons.
My thoughts and my prayers for our hostages in Iran
or as though they were my own sons and daughters.
The hostage thing, I think, amplified a lot
The
of
hostage
the fears
thing.
that people had about him.
With all the odds against him, he still did what he thought was right. That's not a bad
Of course,
pattern
Reagan
for all
made
of us to follow.
Iran keep the hostages.
Yeah.
Human rights, the right to live like a human, that's something that President Carter tried to make real with his foreign policy.
Don't forget those hostages spent over 100 days.
We now had a president that started to see the world the way we saw it.
His love for music makes sense to me because music is the voice of the heart.
One of the reasons that musicians were drawn to President Carter, he was a man of the earth. For God's sake, he was a peanut farmer.
He is a peanut farmer. Yeah, that's the only thing I ever learned about him in school.
It didn't matter to him.
Yeah, it's this documentary.
I think music is the best proof that people have one thing in common, no matter where they live, no matter what the language.
I agree. I agree. It doesn't need to be in English.
Go, Jimmy.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.